Hello, everybody, and welcome to the front row. I'm so excited for our guest author for tonight. As you all have been following us, and if it's your first time, welcome. The front row series is an opportunity for us to not only interview authors in the field, but for you to hear some amazing storytelling and just some amazing books that you should add to your home library. The front row is a program virtually that's being in collaboration with myself with Burst Into Books along with Semicolon Bookstore here in Chicago. And so we are so excited for you to join us. As you can see on the screen and scrolling below, we have the amazing Susan Verde with us today. And I'm so excited because I feel like Susan, it's been like over a year us trying to connect.
Right. I know.
Not for this, but like for my book club. And so I'm just so glad we were able to make this work. And I really have been looking at your work and I love it. And so I'm just so excited about the message of your stories. And so this would be an amazing, amazing time. So those who are watching, please share, watch it later if you miss it. But again, we are doing book raffles. So as we get more into our interview and you learn more about Susan's work, do know that her latest book will be a part of our book raffle for our front row series. So as always, no better place to start but the beginning. So can you share with us, Susan, how did you get to this place as far as being a writer?
Once upon a time. How did I get to this place? I don't know. No, I do. This place was, it's funny. I didn't start out in my life thinking I want to be a published writer, a picture book writer. I knew from a really early age that I loved writing, that it was a way for me to just kind of express my feelings. And, I was one of those angsty teenagers with my journal and my diary and all that stuff. And I wrote for my poetry magazine in school and like all of that good stuff. But I hadn't really, at that time in school, I don't think I ever had an author visit. So it wasn't something I thought about as a real career.
Yeah.
So I had many jobs in between. I worked for a music magazine called Vibe Magazine. It was really fun. It was another lifetime ago. And then I became a teacher. I taught kindergarten and nursery school for many years. But all that time I was still writing. And then when I stopped teaching and I had my kids, I found myself writing even more. And I had this whole collection of poems. And from those poems is how I sort of segued into writing books. And that's a whole other story. I met, and I can tell you that a little later, but that's how I sort of got here. So it wasn't, it's been a really interesting, wonderful journey. And I look back on everything I've done and I know that somehow that led me right where I'm supposed to be.
That is so awesome. And I think just as you're sharing, and I know like you said some gems, I'm like, how Vibe teaching? You got a lot of lifetime.
It was some gems, yeah, for
so
sure.
I think thinking about all those things and being a mother, I'm a mother as well. What inspires the stories that you write about? Because I think that you have a specific niche, right, that you are really keyed into, which is needed, and I believe in children's literature. So what inspires you to, write the stories that you write?
Thank you. Well, when I write, I'm not thinking I'm not looking at what's missing in the market. I'm writing from what I know, what I feel, and what I've learned. And I think, and somehow it's fitting in, but I think a lot of it is, I'm inspired by the kids I've worked with, by the kids I interact with, by my own kids, and by sort of tapping into the kid in me, the stuff that I wish I had been told or learned or someone had shared with me when I was growing up. If I had a mindfulness practice when I was in middle school, I think it would have helped me a lot. So I think all of those little pieces, the teaching and the mindfulness and the yoga that I also teach to kids, and just really an awareness of what kids are experiencing and what they're struggling with. And also like what in the world seems to be missing, a sense of empathy. or communication, things like that. And so those are all kind of the inspiration for my stories ultimately.
And just even hitting on some of the titles, and we'll get to your latest book, but how has the reception to these books been? Like, I know you go on different talks and you shared it in schools, like even with mindfulness, as you just spoke to. Like I said, I don't know if I say that I am a teacher. I teach in high school as
Oh
well.
my gosh.
Yeah, and so we talk a lot about like restorative practices, right? Like there was so many,
Absolutely. Yeah.
suspension and detention and, writing lines and all of that. And there's so many studies coming out about like instead of detention, we need to be teaching children meditation and ways to
Yes.
their
And
energy. And just, I think we're now getting to that place of adding fuel to a fire doesn't make it go out.
I mean, I'm so, hopeful when I see schools changing their practices and going from suspending to meditation
Yeah.
rooms and remediation rooms and things that, all the restorative justice practices that should be in the school system, that are all about helping people learn from their mistakes,
Yep.
and learn how to be with one another, because you spend most of your time in school. That's where you're going to learn those things. And so, yeah, I think that all those practices are so important. And I've been really honored and thrilled that a lot of educators have taken the books and put them into their social emotional learning curriculum, which again is not, I didn't sit down and say, oh, well, this would fit really well in a classroom, or it's just me working my stuff out. And I think, we're all doing that. And I think somehow I'm so lucky that I've been able to support those journeys that those educators are on, because to have the tools in your hands to help these kids with the most important piece of their development, in my opinion, this social emotional connection. You can't learn if you are, suffering from trauma, if you're nervous, if you're worried, if you haven't eaten, if you're not
Yeah.
supported, if you're not seen. Learning goes out the window.
Yeah.
So all these other things are so important, and just to even be a little part of that has been really amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And I believe it's a perfect segue to I Am Human. So, first of all, the title itself, right, is, I think that and I know you have like the I Am Yoga, I Am Human, all these different things. So, it's just like, it's very straightforward. And so, I Am Human. Can you just share a little bit about what, I know you said you were working your stuff out, what led you to write I Am Human?
Well, so I Am Human, actually, so it's interesting because the idea, so we didn't set out to have a series, right? The first one was I Am Yoga, and that just seemed like a natural book to write because I've been teaching kids yoga and all of that. But once that came out, there seemed to be this need to talk about different pieces of people's development and life and interaction. And so I Am Human, I was actually out to dinner with my illustrator, Peter Reynolds, and his wife and their son and my daughter. And I had somebody knocked over a drink or something. And I turned to the kids and I said, it's okay. You're only human. You're going to make a mistake. No big deal. And my illustrator and I looked at each other, and then his wife was like, I am human. We should talk about humanity. And so I went home right away and I was like, you're right. I am human. And the story just kind of flowed. But we had to battle for that title because our publishers thought that it was too clunky, that kids couldn't really understand this idea of being human and, being flawed and all. And Peter and I fought. I mean, I went around to teachers, all the teachers I was interacting with, and I was like, what do you think of this story and this title? And they were like, how could it be called anything else? So
Right.
we really fought for it. And I think it was really important that we did, because yeah, that's the whole idea, is we're all human, right? So we've no matter what we look like, we have to think about, feel like, we have to recognize those differences, honor those differences. That's what makes life beautiful. And then find that common ground as humans. So yeah, I think it couldn't have been anything else, really.
I love it. And so those who are watching, I know you're like, oh my gosh, I agree. I love what you're saying, Susan. And we are so honored to not only have the author of I Am Human, but we also have a copy of I Am Human, which we are going to hear Susan read. And so I'm excited because, again, as you all know, we are doing a book raffle. I will put the link in the chat for those who are watching so that you can enter that raffle and you can select to get this book for your home library. So I'm going to pull out so they can all be the Susan show.
Oh my God, the Susan show. Crazy. I should have a theme song. Oh, too late. So I'm really excited to read I Am Human, actually, a book of empathy. And although these seem like big concepts, I mean, that's the thing I love about picture books is that they take these very large concepts and they break them down into these very simple pieces. So if you're a kid reading this book and you don't really know what empathy is, by the end, hopefully you've learned that. So here we go. I was born a miracle, one of billions, but unique. I am human. I am always learning. I'm finding my way and choosing my path on this incredible journey. I have big dreams. I see possibility. I have endless curiosity. I make discoveries. I have a feeling of wonder. I am amazed by nature. I have a playful side. I find joy in friendships. I am human. But being human means I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I can hurt others with my words, my actions, and even my silence. And I can be hurt too. I can be fearful of things I don't yet understand and timid to try something new. I have a heavy heart when I feel sadness. I am human. But then I remind myself that because I am human, I can make choices. I can move forward. A poor choice can become a better choice with thoughtfulness. A bad day can become a great day with kindness. I can act with compassion and lend a helping hand. I can treat others with equality and be fair. I can choose not to fight, but instead to listen and find common ground. I can say I'm sorry and ask for forgiveness. I am human, one of billions, but unique. I am not alone. I am connected to my friends, to my family, to the world. We are all humans together. And I will keep trying to be the best version of me. I am full of hope. I am human. And that's the end. Ooh. The Susan show's over.
No, I love it. I love it. And first, you know, to you and your illustrator, Peter, have you all done all of your books together?
Not all of the books. So we've done all, obviously, in the I Am series, and we've had a few others that we did together. We did The Water Princess and my very first book, The Museum, and a book called You and Me. And then the others have been a variety of amazing illustrators.
Awesome. So when it comes to writing, I have this question: explain your research and creative process because of your maybe like series of books that you and Peter. I'm sure like conversations and concepts and pictures come a little bit easier. For you, is it the story first? Is it visualizing? Like, what is your creative process when it comes to actually writing your stories?
For me, it's sort of the story first. And, you know, you can see from a lot of my stories that they are, I guess, very lyrical or, you know, lean more towards poetry. So I kind of just go with the idea and then build the story around that. And that typically comes first. Okay. And then yeah. And then, so that has been the process all along so far. It hasn't been that I've seen an illustration and then written from that yet. And that could potentially happen. But yeah, it's usually the story first. And now in the case of Peter, like I'll send him the story. You really don't usually meet or talk to or collaborate with your illustrator in sort of a normal author illustrator situation. But Peter and I came together in a different way. And so we break the rules a little bit and communicate. So typically I'll send him the story. He'll send me a sketch, it's definitely more collaborative. But yeah, it's usually, and I sit myself down every single day like I'm going to work and I write. Now, whether it turns into a story or it's, just some ideas or whatever, it's that time that I dedicate to the process and to the craft. So that's kind of how it goes. We had the book, The Water Princess, that took the most sort of research because it was based on a true story, and it is kind of a true story. So it was told to me. I wrote it with a woman named Georgie Badiel from Burkina Faso in Africa, and it's all about her family, but a girl and her family and the long walk to get clean water. And that required more actual research because I wanted to get, whatever. I wanted to get the facts right. I wanted to have an understanding of the realities of the situation before writing about it.
Right. Awesome. So with the writing process and then the beginning, so how difficult was it to get your first book published? And the reason I ask is because I work with published authors who are self-published, right? Because of the journey of trying to become a published author, and they don't want to hold on to this manuscript any longer. How long was it for you before you got chosen by an actual publishing company?
Well, I see now. This is the part of the story from the beginning that I put off till now, and I don't want anyone to hate me, but I had this stack of poetry, like I was saying, and I took a picture book writing workshop that was being taught by Peter Reynolds. And one of the perks of being in the workshop was that you got to show him your work. And he pulled out a poem I'd written called The Museum, which over the next 6 months, he pulled it out and he was like, well, this is a story and I need to illustrate it. And I was like, what? So over the next 6 months, we created a dummy. We took actual file cards and I wrote the text and he drew some sketches and we sent it to his agent, and within 2 weeks it had sold to Abrams, and then his agent signed me on as her client, so it just kind of went from there. So it was really, being in the right place at the right time with the right story. So I have not had to go through that kind of query process and I still, at this point, obviously I have to shop manuscripts and sometimes they get rejected and that's a huge bummer, but I didn't have to go through that, very difficult, often soul-crushing experience of getting the first book published.
Wow.
Sorry.
Which is okay. It's your journey, right? It's your own journey. And were you at that time looking to become seeking out to be a published author?
I had this stack of stuff and I thought, oh, this I'd love to get this out in the world, but I was very naive. I didn't know the process at all. I really knew nothing. So I was hopeful that maybe I'd have a book in the world, but I didn't even really know what that meant until we began this journey kind of together. And then I learned a lot along the way. And I still, sometimes when I get a contractor or my agent will email me and say, oh, you just got this deal with this breakdown. And I'm like, well, I don't know what that means. Right. Can you just explain?
Right.
Sorry. It's only been 12 years. I don't know. But so it's still a learning process.
Yeah, oh my God, that's awesome. So what would be your advice? I think you said a lot. One thing I did hear you say is you write every day, you're committed to the craft. And then just really, even the way you met Peter was that you were perfecting that craft, right? And so what would you give as advice?
I think my advice would be one is to do it every day, and don't and what in the process of doing it every day, don't expect that you're going to sit down every day and write a story and it's going to be fully fleshed out, and it's just write something, write 20 sentences that mean nothing but mean something. You know what I mean? Don't put expectations on yourself, but write every day. And then put yourself out there. It can, writers know that, like, when you're writing, it is a piece of you. So it is a place of vulnerability, but you've got to be okay with that. So just share with people, show up at workshops, look up other authors that you admire, and take their workshops if they have them. Do those things, because the reality is you never know when something's going to happen, when you're going to make a connection with an agent or a publisher, or you'll go to a conference and you'll meet an illustrator and you'll collaborate. I mean, it's just put yourself out there and know there's value in your voice. There is room for everyone's voice.
Yeah.
And the self-publishing thing can be great too, because I have heard of many times when if you've self-published and then it picks up some steam, and then an actual publisher sees it, and then you're on your way. So just, definitely put yourself out there, and don't be afraid of that.
I love it. So this is the perfect time, you all. I feel like in life, in every area, we have opportunities to try new things, bring back to life old dreams, be able to just really put yourself out there. So as Susan just said, whether it's through writing or whatever other dream that you have on your heart, like, go for it. You never know.
You never know. You never know.
So,
and
yeah. So what do you desire next in your career?
What do I desire? Well, I desire, I mean, I want to keep writing. I want to keep writing. I want to keep writing things that are helpful, that are meaningful. And
do you want to keep writing children's books? Do you want to?
Yes, but I also would love to write for adults, perhaps, because, and I'm not looking to write a novel, a fiction novel. I think my arena is more sort of that, like, how can I help you? So as a parent, as a human, how can my journey support yours? And so that's the kind of thing I'd like to write, to really support parents and people and teachers who are out there in the world working with kids and trying to learn how to take care of themselves at the same time. So those are the kind of things I'd love to write. And then, of course, if anyone's listening, I'd love to I think The Water Princess should be a movie.
Yes.
It's so good. It's a new kind of princess movie. We need it.
I'm telling you, all of our filmmakers watching, if you
come on, guys, let's do it.
Movie. Make it happen. You never know.
You never know. That's the thing.
So I have at the bottom, as you all see, how you can continue to follow Susan and get more of her writings. As I said, we are going to be wrapping off I Am Human. However, she has so many other books in her collection that you definitely should put into your home library. But I would love for you to kind of share, what's happening next. Like, what should people look out for as they are, following you?
Yay. Well, we just had a new one in the I Am series come out, which I actually will hold up for you, called I Am One, a Book of Action, about how it just takes one thing to make a big difference. And we have 2 more that will be coming in the I Am series. And then I think that's the end of that. Although you never know, like we keep saying. And I have a fairy tale series that I've been working on. So the second in that one will be out in the spring. And I don't know, just follow me on Instagram, because lots of cool stuff is happening, and I get to visit places virtually.
Right.
And yeah. And, sometimes I throw some meditations up there and share book news, and you can sign up for my newsletter on my website. So all of that would be amazing. I'm just trying to build this good community. So
yes,
I appreciate it.
Awesome. So we just want to say thank you, Susan, for your time. It has been a pleasure. I love your spirit. I love your work. And I'm just
Yeah.
excited. I can't wait till I'm able to travel. I can come to New York.
Yes, finally
You know what I
in
mean?
person. Oh my gosh.
But I just really, really, really am grateful that you were able to be a part of this front row series.
Well, I'm grateful that you have me on and that we at least get to see each other in person. It's
Yes,
so
yes,
nice.
yes.
So nice.
Yes.
Thank you for all the work you're doing in the world. And with high school, I have 3 high schoolers. So to you,
Wow.
you're amazing. Yes.
Before you get off, how is it going for them with school? Like, I think that
It's weird.
yeah.
It's, one of them is, they go to 3 different schools. So one is hybrid. So she goes 2 days a week and is remote 3. The other one is 5 days a week in person. And the other one goes to boarding school. So I feel like my head is just spinning. They're muddling through. I mean, some days they get really sort of discouraged and some days they're happy to be near people, even if it's masked and behind plexiglass or whatever. So it's Are you teaching remotely?
We are. So we are remote for the whole, our school decided for the first semester. But then like our bigger district, they're going to reevaluate in like a month what they're going to do. But it doesn't look like things are shifting much. So it probably will be continue being remote.
I hear you. I feel like we're this close to that all the time.
Yeah. So I mean, like you said, we just take it day by day. And to be honest, what you speak of is what's helping me, like meditation, like
thank you.
Working out, nature. Like I tell my son, like even the day was beautiful. Like we need to go walk. Just
yes.
We can't go to where we want to go, but we can get fresh air. You know what I mean? Those things matter. So I think just try to look at the rainbow and all of these different clouds.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I'm so glad you're well and you're healthy and you guys are doing okay.
You too. So definitely we will stay in touch. Everyone, thank you for watching this evening.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. And learn more about Susan. Her handles are at the bottom. And we will see you next week with our next front row series. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.